Time to talk about the Nids. No, not Tyranids. Oceanids. Tyranids comes later. Yes, also the Master of Mists being used here. You can see it is no longer a full range doubling, but rather only 50% range increase. Again, if you didn't see yesterday's video or watch till the end, they did a small balance pass before the patch went live. That just came out as of recording a day ago, although you'll probably see this later. Anyway, yeah, my opponent here, HTS, has some Nids, some Oceanids, which are quite an interesting monstrous infantry unit. And we're going to take a look at here a little bit in a second. Sisters of Avalorn, Lothern Seaguard, currently absolutely gadding down my Marauder Horsemen of Tzeentch, and Aislinn cackling up in the sky, commanding them. We've also got a Mist Mage here as well. And for me, working on an absolutely heretical forbidden tech here, which is Changeling into Caredrean to heal like the Severed Claw or other, Tzeentch Chosen Halberds, whatever elite infantry you want. He himself has a halberd. He's got flaming damage. There's some synergy here. We'll probably talk more about that in another video. Today, let's get back to the Oceanids. Yes, they're monstrous infantry for the High Elves, which is something they didn't have, which is nice. They are anti-infantry as well, with a plus 14 bonuses versus infantry, primarily non-armor piercing damage, and 55 melee defense. So, kind of similar to Treekin, they're more defensively oriented. They've got 30% physical resistance, 20% missile resistance, and 20% fire resistance, immune to contact effects, and perfect vigor, just like the Big Sea Elemental, and also 0 armor. So, in theory, dangerous matchup for them because everything has magic damage. Literally, even the lowliest of Marauders in this faction has magic damage. But that fire resist will come into handy against certain things, like my Marauder Horsemen. Not that they'll be very threatening anymore after getting absolutely filled with arrows, but there you go. We've got a couple of Centaurs with Tzeentch, a couple of Screamers up in the sky, as well as a couple of Furies over there, and then some Marauders, and a Metal Sorcerer who is going to come out from hiding in a moment. But, yeah, let's charge in the Centaurs. I'm going to keep the health bar up so you can see. Nope, just kidding, we're not charging in, not with that giant firing line right there. We're going to pull back up here in the woods and try and whip around. And my Furies, I thought I had clicked them to come over here, but that's okay. They're going to go over there for a while. And the Oceanids will pursue. They're not particularly fast. They're 54 speed, so again, pretty comparable to something like Treekin. Not that Treekin see a ton of use in competitive multiplayer, but there you go. We're going to get some ship's company clashing with the Marauders in the front line. It's a very blue battle here as the Tzeentch Marauders and the ship's company clash. This Marauder here is running in to get on the archers. The Oceanids will expertly block here, disrupt the formation. And we're going to see even another unit of Oceanids get summoned. So one regular, one summoned Oceanid. And they're going to defend these archers to try and keep this firing line intact. The Furies will make it over there to engage. A little breath attack there on the Severed Claw. But they'll have plenty of healing available from Caredrean as long as we can keep him alive. The Centaurs of Tzeentch charging in the Oceanids over there. Again, we'll kind of keep the health bars up. A lot of stuff happening. We'll keep it in a little bit of a wide view. But surprisingly, I mean, I thought maybe they had charge defense or something. I guess it's just the high melee defense, but I thought the Centaurs of Tzeentch would do a little bit better in this engagement. Here, this one's going to get a little bit more of a sort of rear charge situation, and there we can see the damage landing, bypassing that physical resistance. But overall, they're holding pretty well, considering that's like 2,400 gold worth of armor-piercing magic damage. Centaurs crashing into them. Again, armor-piercing doesn't matter all that much, but here we go. Redran, or Changeadran, I don't know. It's going to be fighting the Oceanids here as well. His fire damage actually will get mitigated pretty substantially, though, by their fire resistance, so not great in that way. At least the Aspiring Claw also just have straight-up magic damage with a plus 30 bonus versus large, so they have plenty of melee attack. Get through that 55 melee defense. I say plenty. Even still, they have probably a less than 50% base hit chance, but there you go. The Oceanids holding off the Centaurs, trying to charge them back and forth between these two units so we can keep rocking that charge bonus. But not looking great. Yeah, the waves crashing into the Centaurs, bloodying them continuously. Sound of wet slapping. It's absolutely amazing. A little Searing Doom from my Metal Mage, who has finally emerged from hiding to fight in the front line here. And yeah, the Severed Claw, I mean, we do get some more summoned Oceanids here. They're going to get torn apart pretty quickly. But at the very least, they're continuing to block the archers. I've been able to get in and get some damage on a few of the units, but by and large, HTS has done a great job in protecting his archer line, and is definitely paying the price right now for it. So, yeah, as for what matchups the Oceanids would be best in, hard to say, really. This is one that's interesting. I would have thought it would have been very risky, but at the same time, there's certain aspects of it makes a good amount of sense. And just in general, you know, they're not too cheap, so fitting them in, they're not too cheap. They're not too expensive either, honestly. They're like 1,100 gold right in the middle. So to fit them into quite a few different builds, it's going to be not too difficult. Like, honestly, if you're thinking about just needing some mass blockers, in previous circumstances, you might take something like Silver Helms. Now, you might as well just take the Oceanids. I mean, unless there's some specific reason, like a high number of units with magic damage. But even then, and obviously my build is certainly not meta by any means. And I do think the Oceanids might struggle in some ways against Tzeentch, but even then, in other ways, they have the stats to trade well against a lot of things here. So it's interesting for sure. Adrian getting blown over here as Aislinn charges, seeing through the disguise, of course. Gonna get hit by the Severed Claw a little bit here, and actually on this engagement we're able to get a pretty good amount of damage in general. That heal continuing to proc on the Severed Claw, or nope, just dropped, but yeah, we're able to get a pretty good amount of healing. If I would have got one more cast of it, I might have been able to actually heal cap them. But unfortunately, not going to be the case here, although Final Transmutation will try and aid things. Yeah, we still got, what, the one Oceanid unit is the one here that survives, and does a respectable amount of value in terms of going to paying for itself. I guess this one here is also not summoned, so we can check them. Yeah, they pay for themselves, so nice to see, especially on more of a defensive-oriented unit, that they are able to actually perform in this battle. I honestly haven't used them a ton myself. I've had maybe 1 or 2 games with them, but this is the game definitely where they seem to perform most their intended role of being a defensive monstrous infantry that has some nice ways of mitigating damage outside of armor, and even in a matchup where you might think that would be a problem, ends up not being too much of a problem. A little bit of a late cast there. We're going to call down some fire on the Lothern Sea Guard. Does that silence? Did that actually stop the army ability? Needs more testing. Anyway, not thinking too hard about that right now. Yeah, the Oceanids overall, one of them doesn't quite pay for itself, but the other two are pretty good. And then we also saw the couple of summons there as well. Yeah, just nice to have something that can body block a little bit here. The Centaurs definitely struggled with them, and the Marauder Horsemen were just deleted right from the start, which is, you know, fair. I think I did the same thing to HTS in the first video of Early Access, so, you know, all's fair in love and war and all that. Changeling into Caradran, interesting. Definitely needs more, what's the word I'm looking for? Examination, but probably not in this build setup. Probably need to make some tweaks here. Chaos Sorcerer of Metal, he's fine. Didn't really do too much. But yeah, overall, fun game for sure. The Sisters of Avalorn are going to get some great value with that initial burst, and then just being well protected by the Oceanids, you know, some of their value also should be attributed to them. And then Sea Guards, the ship's company, they're fine, you know. They're doing work out here. Not tons, but, you know, it's something. Nice to have a cheap infantry as High Elves, and then Aislinn also. Pretty good value on him, so let's just quickly end with talking more about the Oceanids. It's an interesting one. Just in general against, yeah, like I said, in situations where, I mean, the basic Silver Helms are only 900, the Oceanids are 1100, so there's a little bit of a cost difference there. But just in general, in a situation where you might want to take Silver Helms again as just a blocking detachment, like, Oceanids are probably going to be better. Obviously, they've got more mass, harder to move around. You know, they've got a little bit of anti-infantry, different resistances, immunity to contact effects, and especially perfect vigor, meaning they'll defend well all the way into the late game. Definitely interesting. They've also got 3,000 more HP than Silver Helms, so that's also something to consider, like literally 50% more HP than Silver Helms, so they'll be able to take a lot more damage. Granted, they'll take a lot more damage from certain things. Even 30% physical resistance is probably not as good as 100 armor in terms of mitigating damage from different sources. If they're physical missiles, at least, then you've got, 50%, and if it's Chaos Dwarfs, then you've got 70%. Yeah, this is actually a matchup where, even though they don't have the best AP values, I mean, I guess they can just mow through plenty of, like, laborers and whatnot, but yeah, I mean, what is Granite Guard? Or these guys don't even deal fire damage. Yeah, it's this one. Fire Glaives. Yeah. Alright, this is Rocket also. Oh, this one deals magic damage at least, so you'll bypass the physical resistance portion of it and only take 40% mitigation on the fire and missile resistance. So there you go. Interesting stuff all the way around. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.